to Leap Take It. Here at Leap Take It, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, everything else in between. So I'd like to talk a little about surviving, thriving in witchcraft. What does that look like? And where are you right now? So surviving in your witchcraft, I'm jumping right into it. Surviving in your witchcraft, to me, as someone who went through it, and I do my best not to continue to be in that space. Honestly, you're surviving when you're using witchcraft, your spells, rituals, for those money spells, like back-to-back money spells. Health? Yes, health. I know there's a lot of new people becoming spiritualists, becoming occultists, witches, and so forth. Maybe that's not so ever present right now for them, but as you get older, health is going to definitely be an issue. And I'm not saying it's not something that's important, but as you get older, it becomes very important. But being in that space of surviving, you're doing a lot of spells to address situations, and it tends to be over and over again. Being like, no, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we're in a bad spot and it can last for some time. We're going through stuff financially, which can have a cascading effect of all these different parts of our lives. During that time, a lot of times you're doing survival-like magic, to get through. Been there. I do know. At some point in your evolution, hopefully in your practice, you're getting a little further and further away from practicing in kind of like a knee-jerk way, where this happens, so you got to go do this. You got to put that man in the jar because he did this one more time. You also did that one more time. You got to do this to him. You thought she was your friend and she not, and they going to put something on her, or everybody's just like, somebody putting something on me, and I got to put a wall. I got to raise these petitions and do this and do that to get this off of me. Let me go take my spiritual bath. You taking a spiritual bath every 3 to 5 days? That's some survival witchcraft right there. You are in survival mode. It is affecting your craft. There's not much room for evolution to move. And I don't want to even say forward, but to expand. It's not a lot of room for expansion because you've made it so small. Thriving, and by the way, a lot of this is mindset. There's the reality of your situation, but then there's also your mindset. Let me tell you something. As someone, I'm not going to talk about people I know, I'm going to talk about myself. As someone who has been through some serious, at the same time, challenges, financial, relationship, my own health, all that in one. And then in inner dynamics of other outside relationships and things like that, housing instability, all happening at the same time. Yeah, that type of stuff. Even in the midst of that, it's not that you're not using your spells, your magic or manifesting to get out of that situation, but it's the way you go about it. It's your view on everything that's happening. If you live your life where things are always happening to you, then you do have this perpetual need to be in survival mode where you're always, thinking you're being hexed, thinking you got to put something on somebody else. The protection's a little way over the top based on the reality of what's really happening. It's all perception. When you're in a thriving space in your witchcraft, honestly, that's when you have time, because mentally you're a little different. You rewired yourself a little differently. There's a lot of prep involved. Where before you would get messages from the universe, we'll just say that, I don't know what it was. They just told me to get this flower. I saw it and I picked it, you dried it and you kept it, kept that dried flower. You didn't know why. When you're in a space of thriving, you receive messages like that. And then it comes back to you. I have collected things, some things just because I like to collect, other things because, I was being divinely guided to pick up that thing. and I know why. Like, it's become clearer down the road. It could be way down the road. But that being receptive when you're in survival is very difficult to kind of differentiate those things. If you're not being given even if you are being given a message about something or anything for that matter, if it's not about fixing your current crisis, it's hard. It might not come through, or you just forget it, or you're mistakenly trying to apply it to your crisis, to your situation, and it really doesn't go there. And that's a whole other conversation on why the universe, we'll just say the universe for now, seems to not always go in the order of operations that maybe are beneficial to us in this current reality that we're in. Why are you telling me to pick up this flower and dry these petals, rose petals, when this crisis is happening in my life? Like, why would you have me do this? But, that's a whole other conversation on why that happens. And actually, that's something I'm willing to explore. I do have my theories on that. But what I will say is that in a place of thriving, yeah, you do that. You're making time, patience. You have a little bit more patience. It doesn't mean things aren't still happening in your life that are negative. It doesn't mean people aren't still coming across your path causing mayhem. It doesn't mean you don't get mad, you don't get sad, and you don't get your feelings hurt, by the way. You can still be very much thriving in your witchcraft and have a crisis happening as well. Because I'm in the space and have been in the space of thriving in my witchcraft is why the crisis that has the various crises, what's the plural? Crisis? I don't know. I gotta look that up. The multiple crises. That doesn't sound right. Somebody let me know in the comments. What's the plural? Later I'll Google it. But anyway, I've had more than one crisis occur. And because of where I'm at mentally, emotionally, and definitely spiritually, because they all go together, because of the space that I'm in and I'm thriving, yes, I'm affected. Yes, sometimes, I'm not going to say things don't get me down. I've dealt with depression and things like that. But the reason I'm sitting here now in a space where even in that moment, I always knew this is a situation I'm going through. I'm basically letting it happen. I'm feeling the feels. Let's get this out. Let's see where this is leading me. Let's explore these feelings. Why do I feel like this? Where's this coming from? Or listen, I went through a bit of a phase where it's like, I know why, I don't care. I just want to just do this. And maybe I just numbed myself for a bit of time because that was also a safe place for me to be in. But being able to self-analyze and work with that comes from being in a place of thriving in my witchcraft, because my witchcraft affects my everyday life. So because I was open and receptive to listening to cues from the universe, ancestors coming through, the goddesses that I work with, and being receptive, even in a storm of emotions, being receptive. I felt like even though if I was falling, I felt like I could only fall so far because so many people, so many entities, so much energy really did have my back, and it wasn't going to be a hard fall. It wasn't going to hurt me that much if I fell. And they would help me get back up and set myself right back up again. So my rituals that I would do, any spell work that I worked on, it wasn't from a place of desperation. It wasn't from a place of confusion, because I was doing work. I guess we'll say shadow work. I was doing the work of breaking down why, where, when I was ready, where did this come from? What do I do with it? And knowing how to handle that in a metaphysical way, knowing how to take all of this stuff that's not feeling good, and I want to get it out. How do I go about doing that? That works for me. Being in a place of thriving in my witchcraft, I can think like that. I can make those types of moves and actually see results. Surviving, you just get too caught up in what's happening around you, and how you practice is influenced by that. and you're not really expanding beyond that point. Um, nothing is all the same all the time. Especially when it comes to magic, there's some chaos that's to it that's just inevitably going to be there. You're not dealing with just your will. You may be the god or goddess in your little world that you've created, but you're not the only. You're not the only one that exists. So the will of many and collective energy is always ever present. That's the answer to when people, well, to me anyway, well, if you're so, magical, how come you didn't hit the lottery? First of all, I have won the lottery. I didn't win the one that was for millions of dollars, but I did win. But no, again, the short answer, by the way, if someone asks you, is, well, you have to look at it like this. Millions of people are playing. There's collective energy. Everyone, listen, you're going up against other witches. Well, witches play lottos. So you're going up against other witches, occultists. You're going up with praying folk. You're going up against very desperate people. And you're going up with people who have their own, I don't want to get too much in this, their own karma and things of that nature. There's a lot of energy at play, is my point. A lot of individual and collective will dominating everything. So yeah, it truly is something, where those odds might not be in your favor. It may never be in your favor. When I play the lottery, I do expect to fully win 100%. I don't, but what I do is I allow space for, well, if I win, because I think if you like the big one, the one with like the Powerball or something, I think if you don't get all the numbers, like the next tier down is like, I think it's like $1 million prize. So I'm like, universe, I'm accepting of that. I can take the $1 million. I can work with that. Or if I win with others, I can share. I'm very gracious. I'm okay with that. I'm making like deals with the universe on that sort of stuff. And somehow I've ended up walking away with just the $2 I paid for the ticket. But, case of row. But no, you are dealing with a lot of other energetic just there's so much at play. So don't, by no means does that mean that you're less than a witch or you're a less than magical person because you have not won the lottery. Okay? You're going up against other witches as well. And it doesn't mean that they're all better than you. It just means that that's a lot of competing energy and it's just bouncing around, kind of like those balls. And where it lands, only the fates can tell. But what I would hope, if you're watching this video, you kind of walk away with is that these kind of key points. Being a witch does not mean you avoid all the negative things that come in life. Obstacles, problems, hurts, heartbreak, they happen. Being a witch who is thriving in her witchcraft means you most likely have some prep done. You've been receptive to the universe, receptive to spirit, and, you have some things kind of set up to carry you through this current situation you're in. In a survival mode, unfortunately, it's hard to see that. It's hard to make room for that. So, I love being a witch. Let me just be very clear. I love witchcraft. I love practicing. I love reading about it. I love talking about it. And I think because I'm in that space, because I'm still willing to learn, and I'm still honestly amazed that things happen for me and for other people I know when they tell me things. I'm genuinely shocked, not shocked, but like, really, that happened? Even though I was right there in the ritual with you. Like, I'm genuinely still delighted, and I still wonder, and I'm still very curious about everything. And I'm still impressed by a spell and what can happen. I still hold on to the beginning part of my journey with witchcraft. And may I never lose it. I think that helps with thriving. I don't doubt myself. in anything that I work on. That's also a good side effect of being thriving in your witchcraft. When I approach something, I'm already sort of having an idea of the type of outcome I'm looking for. Um, if I'm working on abundance, abundant in what? I don't like to just, throw up stray things into the universe. I want to be a little bit more clear. Abundance in love. Love of what? Be careful. You can end up with a bunch of cats at your doorstep. You know, love with a companion. Abundant in love from people who genuinely love me and want to help me and be in my life in a positive way. Abundant in energy because I'm really tired all the time and I'm doing so many other things and I'm kind of getting burnt out. And I would just like a boost of good energy that I can use. Abundant in money, abundant in worldly possessions, things that only money can buy, abundant in those things, so I'm very clear. So when I approach things, because I'm in a thriving space at this point in my journey, I think like that. I think on that level because as I had been in a surviving capacity, from that kind of mindset, I would have just said abundance because I was so singularly focused on lack. You know what I mean at the time, and what I don't have. So clearly. Like and it's funny because looking back on it now, it's ridiculous. But I truly thought abundance and prosperity was leaving room for the universe to provide. When in reality, I was sort of, like I said, just sitting up, just this straight energy, just every which way into the universe, and that's how I was receiving every little here, $100, maybe $1,000 came here for something. But then another thing came down. I owed somebody $1,000, so I had to give it to them instead of this, and so forth. Those times. If this is something you're struggling with, if this is something that you just can't seem to get right, and you feel like you are in a surviving witchcraft phase, and you've kind of been stuck there for a while. You kind of keep doing the same type of spells, and even at this point, you're sick of doing that as well. I suggest you go to leadtaken.com. If you're interested, you can sign up for one of my mentorship programs. They should be new ones are coming up soon. If not, you know what? Let's do a reading. Let's sit down and just do a reading and see what's going on. Let's talk it out. Let's consult spirit. Let's work through it and find out. What are the gaps? What's going on? What are we missing here? What's really going on? And the purposes to me of doing readings are not just to reveal all, and then you're just kind of as a passenger, and it's happening to you, and then you take that instruction and you go forward. You're a participant. This is your practice. This is your life. This is what you do. Your spirituality. Sometimes there are messages that only come through that literally only you understand. I can tell you that, but you know what that means. Those are triggers to you. A ding goes off when you hear a certain thing. And the goal is for you to internalize and take what you will from the reading, from the messages that I intuit. What do you get from that, and why? Why do you think that is? And where do you think should be your next step? Let's work through that. That's what readings with me would be like, by the way. I'm not looking for a passive person to sit there and just be read to, and that's the end of it, because what did you learn? What was the point? You can do that for yourself. You can honestly just take some cards and just flip them over and look at the meanings and say, oh, I guess that's what it is. No, you're looking for something a little bit more, hopefully. And the point is to do something and to move forward. I don't like to say move forward when it comes to this expand. Because being witchcraft doesn't mean, being a witch for me isn't always about forward movement. Sometimes it's expansive. Sometimes I got to reach in the past. in order to expand a little bit more, or sometimes I gotta condense. But hopefully you made it to this part of the video with my slight tangents and ramblings, and I pulled it all together again with the highlights of thriving in your witchcraft. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel at this stage? Are you thriving in your witchcraft? Are you coming out of a surviving phase in witchcraft? Or are you kind of at a, not really anywhere? The blahs are not great either in witchcraft. More to come on that, on how to kind of counteract that. I've definitely been there when you're just not very excited about really much in witchcraft anymore. You read all the books, you've done enough. You're like, whatever. But you still call yourself a witch. But yeah, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit like. Please subscribe, share, and like I said, check out leaptaken.com for my services. Consider hitting the join button to join Leap Taken membership. Here on YouTube, it sort of works like a Patreon, and there are perks to being a member. All right, thanks again for watching. Bye.